I think now, as at when we started this, there was no Honorable Attorney General for River State. But we expect that such public interests litigation should be championed by the current Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in River State.
Okay, then, but if you say the Attorney General should champion the what do you call it now, the House of Assembly Service Commission law should have also been championed by an Attorney General, right? Because at the time when that law was enacted or was passed into law, there was an Attorney General or state Attorney General of the state at the time.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. At the federal level, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation went to the Supreme Court to challenge. He filed a lawsuit for local government autonomy. That's proactive lawyering. So it behoves any Attorney General who knows what the Constitution is all about to go to court and challenge it. Because drawing a cue from the federal level, even at the federal government level, we have what we call the National Assembly Service Commission Act 2014. Section 3 says the Senate President shall nominate the chairman and members of the National Assembly Service Commission. However, he forwards the list to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for confirmation of such appointments. So this is how laws are made. This is how contributory roles by both executive and the legislature.
Okay, so you're saying now that ALDAP, that's your association, will not look into the local government issue, but you leave it for the Attorney General. Would it not have been nice if, since you're very how do I put it now? How do you say it in law? Since you get results when you go to court, wouldn't it be great if you were to touch the local government matter to help Rivers people determine if the law is aligning with the Constitution or not?
Well, I would not be able to make promises. We have a membership of over 1,000 lawyers. Before we take on public interest litigation, there's a board. Things are thrown up, and then decisions are made. So I cannot stay here and tell you that definitely we are going to do this. But now you've brought it to our attention, we can bring it to our board and then have a discussion.
Okay. Now, my next question, I've got a commercial coming up. But you must have heard about the legislative brouhaha or imbroglio happening in Rivers State as to who is the speaker, who is a member, who is not a member. Since you're very much interested in following the Constitution and, of course, legislative matters, how do you interpret what is going on as a lawyer?
Well, as a lawyer, since you said as a lawyer, I have to speak as a lawyer. We have a rule as lawyers. When a matter is before a court, before a judge, it will not be professional to make comments about such matters. I think the whole entire legislature issues in River States, they are all subject of litigation. So it would not be professional of me to speak one way or the other about these matters.
Now, Dr. Tonye, we've had certain pronouncements of court. On Monday, we had one interpretation or pronouncement, I should say, that has thrown the state into so much debate. We had an interlocutory injunction the other day that has, of course, still thrown the state into a lot of debate. When we do come back from the commercial break, I would like to talk to you about all of these issues as we push for development, please.
All right.
4:30 p.m. and you're listening to Hard Facts and 92.3 Nigeria Info. I am Kala Dakaru Batabo, and we're live on Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info PH, active on X, Nigeria Info PH. And we're looking at the topic, State High Court's nullification of Section 3 of Rivers State House of Assembly Service Commission law. And my guest is Dr. Tonye Jaja, who is the Secretary, Association of Legislative Drafters and Advocacy Practitioners. It's good to have you on the show, and welcome, Doc.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So just before the break, I was asking the question what your thoughts are, and you said it is sub judice. I believe that's what you were trying to explain to us. However, I was also arguing that certain courts have made certain pronouncements already. So I do believe that, we have a leeway to talk about it, given the fact that certain courts have made certain kinds of pronouncement, either an interlocutory injunction or a pronouncement of court omotosho of the Federal High Court. We also had Okogbule Basam of the State High Court. I think we had Justice Wali of the State High Court as well make an order for interlocutory injunction. So, based on that, I do believe that you can your view on this very issue.
Okay, so the judgment of Justice Okogbule Basam, I think, is on point. He said he does not have the jurisdiction on his court. The State High Court does not have jurisdiction on that issue. Therefore, it is a Federal High Court. And in fact, he cited a subsisting lawsuit as the proper avenue and at the Federal High Court to ventilate the issue of whether 25 members are still valid or whether they are still constitutionally recognized. So that is clear, going by the Constitution. The other judgment, I have not had the benefit of reading Justice Wali properly. Okay. So I cannot really speak about that. I have not really read that
judgment yet.
That judgment.
Okay, so I'm going to try this now. Let's look at jurisdiction. Do you think it should be the Federal High Court, the exclusive right of the Federal High Court to look at such matters of legislative issues, like if a member is still a member or not, or do you think a State High Court can also dabble into such matters? 272 subsection 3, I believe.
Well, my personal opinion doesn't matter. The Constitution is the supreme law of Nigeria. So whatever the Constitution says is what the law is. Then, where there are doubts, if you and I have doubts, the judges, that is their role, to pronounce and say, this is what the Constitution means or intended to mean by this section. So my views or the views
I'm asking based on your interpretation of section 272 subsection 3. I know you're not in River State, however it is actually a very big debate in River State, and that section talks about whether it should be the Federal High Court who looks at matters as it relates to whether a governor or a deputy governor, is a president here or a vice president, and lawmakers, if they are, I think it's the state, so governors, deputy governors, and then lawmakers if they are still members or not. That it's the Federal High Court that should look into such matters. So what's your interpretation of that section? My understanding of it is the Federal High Court. That's what the Constitution says. Because right now our association, ALDRA, is also, there's a lawsuit. We are suing the National Assembly. 40 lawmakers of the National Assembly left their duty at the National Assembly to serve as members of ECOWAS Parliament and the Pan-African Parliament. We have sued at the Federal High Court to determine whether Section 68 sub 19G, the meaning of that section, because that section says you cannot, once you are a member of the National Assembly, you cannot belong to another legislative chamber. All right.
So by them going to become members of ECOWAS Parliament and members of the Pan-African Parliament, we are asking the Federal High Court, please tell us, are they still valid members of the National Assembly, or have they automatically from April vacated their seats at the National Assembly? So I think the proper venue is the Federal High Court.
Okay, all right. One last question. I was going to ask you, someone listening would think, oh, this association of legislative drafters, and I do like that name, and advocacy practitioners, that they probably have some kind of interest in the politics that is playing out in River State, or that has been playing out in River State from sometime October 2023. And they'll be wondering, oh, maybe that's why I have invited you on the show. So what really is the interest for you as it relates, back to the House of Assembly Service Commission law? What is the interest for your association? What really do you stand to gain?
All right, we are apolitical. We do not have political lineages or interests. Our interest is educational because we publish what we call legislative law reports of Nigeria from 1962 till date. All the judgments of the Supreme Court that pertain to the legislature, we report them. So we have them in hard copy. We have the electronic version of this law report. So anytime we win a case in court, either ourselves or any litigation that borders on legislature, we make a point to report it for education, enlightenment of the public. So that's our interest, public interest litigation, to expound our constitutional jurisprudence, what we call legisprudence. That is the area of law that deals with the legislature. Okay. So this is our interest. So for example, this recent judgment by the River State High Court will go into this law report. We have judgments, the former Bendel State, the first time that a member was, the speaker declared the seat of a member vacant because the member failed to meet the constitutional requirement of 181 days attendance. It's there in our law report. So we have all these novel cases in legislature. We report in our legislative law reports of Nigeria.
Now you mentioned, is there anywhere, I mean, you said you've been posting these legislative legal reports since when? 1980 something? Correct me if I'm wrong.
1962. From when the Supreme Court was. Yes.
Oh, interesting. So now, is there anywhere in any of these, pronouncements by the Supreme Court where an extension of the time of local government chairman were touched, were discussed, were brought up, or, pronouncements were made? Is there any of those jurisprudence?
To my knowledge, none I can think of, none. Except in the First Republic, when there was a state of emergency was declared. Then what happened was appointment of sole administrators. Okay, so that's the likely circumstance you could justify why you're extending tenure. And that was not even an extension of tenure. New sole administrators were appointed to take over the regional governments.
Okay.
So I think that's the only thing. Constitutionally, there's no provision. Even the Supreme Court has ruled that there's no provision for state governors to appoint caretaker committee chairmen. There's no provision. It has to be elected chairpersons.
But I mean, I agree with you on that one. But now the conversation in River State is, since we cannot do caretaker chairman, can the legislative extend the tenure of local government chairman? And that's been the debate. And some lawyers have made references, was it to Lagos State versus, I can't remember the state now, also made references to other states. But the question then is it even possible? I mean, you as a lawyer thinking about it, yes, we agree caretaker committee chairmen are against our constitution, there's not a line, but does the legislature have the power to extend?
Now, I'll answer your question by looking at a scenario in Oyo State.
Okay.
Osun State, years back, I think 2012, the former governor or the former Osun State Assembly amended the law called the Osun State Coat of Arms and law. They changed the emblem, the coat of arms of Osun State. The new, after they left, there's another
legislative
state
assembly.
House of Assembly. Yes, they came, they amended that law. Now, yes, every assembly has the power to amend whatever law you want to amend. However, you know that rights are not absolute. You must confine yourself to the dictates of the Constitution. Section 1(3) of the Constitution says, if you, just because you have the legislative power, if you make a law that is not complying with the substance of the Constitution, with your own, because in the Constitution there's what we call legislative lists. Every federal government has its own lists on items it can legislate upon. The state government also has its list. There's even a list for local governments, items that local governments should legislate upon, such as advertising, signage, road signage. Now, just because you have the power to make law does not mean you can encroach on local government items and make laws. And if it is challenged on the basis of constitutionality, it could be revoked. So the question is, does the legislature have the power to appoint local government chairmen, extend their tenure? If the Constitution says yes, you can do that, then good. But if the Constitution says no, you cannot do that, then the legislature does not have that power.
All right, then. All right, I would have to stop you at this point, but thank you very much for your time, for spending time with us and educating us on legislative matters as it relates to the Constitution. I think we've gleaned a thing or two, and we do appreciate. Thank you very much, Dr. Tonye Clinton.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, Kalada.
All right then. Okay, thank you. All right then. Okay, so you listening, it's time for you and I to have our conversation. We've listened, and I do think the reason why we took the educational structure on the show today is because we want to know what is legal and what is not. Now, we understand that, yes, the legislative arm of government has got the power to make laws, but the laws must be consistent with the constitution of the land, the ground norm, as we rightly would call it. And so for that reason, the section number 3 of the House of Assembly Service Commission law is amended that allows the legislative arm of Rivers State to appoint who is the chairman of that commission has now been termed illegal and expunged from that law. And according to the court, that the governor should nominate and the legislative arm should confirm, as it is done with commissioners and other appointees of government. Now the question then is, are there other laws in your opinion that you think we should take? And by the way, this association is not in Rivers State. The association is not a Rivers association. There are, like he said, a bunch of lawyers who came together and decided that they want to follow up on legislative matters. And he said sometimes they are very overwhelmed with some of the cases that they follow, and so they can't cover everything. But now, for instance, do you think someone should challenge, or maybe the government should challenge the local government law so we can get educated, re-educated by the pronouncement of courts? Are there other laws you think that we should challenge as it relates to legislation in Rivers State? The phone lines are open: 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, 0817 923 0007. I do not have much time, but I'll tell you the reason why this conversation is very important. The political space in Rivers State has taken the shape of a battle, a political battle, and so there is now the legislative arm versus the executive arm of government. And by the way, government cannot be seamless, entirely seamless, if all arms of government fail to work together. And so if the legislative arm of government is making a law to spite the executive arm of government, or making a law to benefit just the legislative arm of government, we will then begin to see that there would not be any benefit for the people. And so we're now trying to question some of these things. We're now trying to look at some of these things. And that is how a conversation for development is bettered. And I'm hoping that we can do that. I do have a call. Let's take this one. 92.3 Nigeria Info. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, this is Isaiah George from Buguma in Calabar. Calabar, good evening to you.
I agree with you.
Calabar, I was very impressed. I want to really thank the doc who has really educated Rivers people and Nigerians this evening. I will say that may God bless him.
Okay.
You see, there are so many other things that are really constitutionally confusing that Rivers people like me will also want this set of group of lawyers to look into, like the area of the constitutional crisis that surrounding the 8-point agenda of the president is one, and so many others which maybe for now I may not really remember. You understand? Just like you remember them of that of the local government, if maybe you have thrown more light. But he said it's the subject of litigation, and as such, he cannot go into that, and which is the truth. I want to say that we keep telling the local, the defunct House of Assembly members that what they are doing is just their own personal interest. They are only just waging war against the governor because of what actually played out. In the first instance, they attempted to impeach him. That failed. And from that point, they now begin to raise war to see how they can destabilize and take away the powers of the governor and see how they can. But the Constitution is far bigger and stronger than it will not allow them to do most of these things. They can just do it and leave. But tomorrow, you understand, a group of lawyers like this can just as they mess up this very one. It was not them, but it is the Constitution.
Right.
They laid down ground on that messed up, throw out that matter. You can't take and assume the power of the governor.
All right, I've got to go. Thank you very much, Isaiah.
You understand? So let your powers reach the governor's own. You know, the governor is to nominate, send to you for confirmation. Now you assume both.
All right, thank you very much, Isaiah. I've got to let you go at this point. This one says, good afternoon. Ask your guest, where was the association when Executive Order 21 and 22 was issued during the 2023 election, or was that order not contrary to the Constitution? Secondly, the association wants the Constitution to be protected. What is the association doing about the formation of a caretaker chairman? Because according to my understanding, there is no caretaker chairman in our Constitution. I think we handled the second one. Well, this one says, if the State High Court doesn't have locus standi to look into the State Houses of Assembly matters, what happened to all the interlocutory injunctions given by the State High Court or go join justice? We wait and see. Ida from Inkoro, welcome. Ida, what is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Kalada, I greet you specially.
I greet you
I want
right
to
back.
thank your guest in the studio. I wanted to say something. Tanzania George from Puguma has said it all. Kalada, I want to be bringing this kind of people to studio so that we'll be learning. Now, I've learned section like this kind of people. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, thank you
God
very
bless
much.
you,
Thank
my
you for
brother.
your time. I'll keep those calls coming in. I can still take about 2 calls. Let's say this. This says, good evening, Canada. Please ask your guest if there is any legislative judgment on legislators who decamp to other political parties. Okay, Rumodamai. Of course, we do have. He did mention. I think 1 or 2. I can't remember now. But yeah, of course, we've had situations like that where there was the camping. But then, you see, it is slightly different situation because in those places, the speaker was the one who declared the seat vacant. In this case, the speaker is part of the embattled lawmakers. So these are the issues. Elliot is calling from Yenigo. Elliot, welcome.
Thank you, Canada.
You're welcome.
Yes, I was so much enlightened by your guest,
Oh, really?
and we will need such person
Okay.
to be in the studio. In fact, be inviting him so that we will learn more and more.
Oh, okay.
Today, I know that caretaker committee is illegal.
I mean, we've said it like 1,000 times. We've said it like 1,000 times on the show, right?
Hello?
I said we've said it like 1,000 times on this show that caretaker committee chairman is illegal.
After 18 of this month, we are expecting the head of local government to take out the 23 local government than the caretaker.
Okay, all right.
Because I'm hearing some rumors that the governor wants to appoint caretaker.
All right then.
Hello?
I can hear you. I'm listening.
Yes, so I'm expecting the head of local government to take over than the caretaker.
All right then.
Thank you.
All right then.
Thank you, I guess. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Greetings, Kalada. It is unambiguously clear that all the orders and injunctions obtained against Honorable Martin Ameule and others by Edison Ehie and Honorable Victor Okojumbo ETC are all illegal because no Rivers State High Court has jurisdiction to entertain the matter. This means that Honorable Martin Ameule is the legitimate Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly until a court of competent jurisdiction rules otherwise. We would have to wait for the court, to tell us, whether that is or that is not. But this one says the legislative arm of government cannot make laws in favor of themselves. Assume executive power to yourself. This is unacceptable on Attack Clinton West. I've got a commercial coming, but I'm going to take Obina's call, and is calling from Irebe. Obina, welcome. What is on your mind? Please tell me.
Yes, Kalada, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
You are the man of the people.
Oh, really?
You see, one thing that is very important that I grabbed from the statement of your guest is that rights are not absolute. In as much as the House of Assembly or the legislature have the right to make laws, the laws that they are to make must be in conformity with the Constitution. When we narrow it down to the ones that the River State House of Assembly, extension of the tenure of the local government city chairman, I think it is not in line with the Constitution. And the amendment to go done in faith. It was just meant to favor or to persuade an ambition of some group of people or a group of people. So I think that law that the River State House of Assembly made is not going to start the test of time.
All right then.
Thank you and God bless you.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I do like conversations like this once again because it educates. I mean, everybody's not fast becoming a lawyer in Rivers State, whether by certification or by association. But we will talk more legal matters when we do come back after the break and then after the news, of course. Do stay tuned.